Hey all, I'm Ryan. I'm in my garage. That could only mean one thing: more work on the Honda Superdream. So it's a Tuesday evening. I've just finished work. I've got a bit of time now. I've got a bit more time later this week. So let's get started. So in this episode, I'm going to try and get these brakes finished. I need to get them working, and they've been stubborn, but I've had excellent suggestions in comments. So I'm going to try and work out maybe how to reverse bleed it, or possibly what I'm doing is working, I just need to give it a bit more time. Or I've been given a very comprehensive guide by someone how they bled it on their Superdream. So let's see how we get on with that. Okay, so I've unbolted the caliper and lifted it as high as I can, so it's now the highest point in the system. I can see I've got brake fluid in this section of pipe here, so there must be air in the remaining pipe. So I'm going to crack open this bleed. Okay, so we can see the level is constant and it's sat just here. If I operate the brake lever, we can see it rises. Oh, and there goes a bubble. And then I release it and we see it fall again. So, can I force fluid down through this system and push the air out at this end? I don't know. Let's see if I can just apply pressure here, what happens. Okay, so I was able just to blow into the tube, force this level down. No bubbles came out here yet, so there's clearly compressed air in this system somewhere. But surely, if this is the highest point, you'd hope, maybe if I agitate it a bit, tap it, I can get the air to move to here and then bleed out. Try to tap it with something a bit more metallic. Do that. It's making a mess now. Okay. See if any air bubbles come out now. Yes, they do. And more bubbles. And more bubbles. Alright. Good. Let's see if we get any more bubbles coming out now. Small ones. Upright the lever. Yep. That was good. That was a good set of bubbles. Try that again. More bubbles, yes. Okay, let's block that off before we start stucking air back in this end. Any improvement on the lever? Not yet. Okay, let's keep going. Slowly, but they're coming out. Very slowly through this brake fluid. time I get an air bubble out, I'm closer. Just need to make sure I don't screw it up. I think I'm overthinking this now. I'm seeing direct relevance. So, squeeze the lever, it goes up. And release it, it comes down. So the fluid is going backwards and forwards in the pipes all the way, end to end. This is held at the highest possible point. So unless I've got gravity defying bubbles, you'd think they'd come out. So I'm now going to leave this in this strange position overnight. So what I've got is the caliper is now suspended up high. It's the highest point in the braking system. The bleed has got a tube on it which is full of brake fluid. This is closed. That's being held closed. I'm going to leave that overnight. Hopefully any air which is in this system is going to settle either up here or there. And then tomorrow I should be able to crack this off and a bubble should come out. But for now, I'm leaving it as is. So I can see that the level of fluid is, I think, there. So I'm going to mark that and see how it is tomorrow. Okay, it's now been 3 days of this just hanging at the highest possible point. So I'm just going to see if I can get any bubbles to just rise out. The immediate answer was no. No. Thought they might have just risen up on their own accord. Apparently not. Lock it off. Release this slowly. Pump that a couple of times. Let's open that up. So I've opened that and the level is going down. So that's running into colour. That's one bubble coming up. So I can see the level rising and falling. I can see a little bit of rubbish in that one as well. So still no air. Alright, okay. Plan B. Let's see if we can't do something else. Okay, so I'm still struggling to get these brakes to bleed, and multiple suggestions to reverse bleed it. So I have bought a syringe and a couple of strips of clear hose of different size, diameter, thickness. So let's see if we can work out this disposable syringe. Yeah, okay, well I won't be using, won't be disposing of it, but it will only be used in the garage, so I'm sure that'll be alright. So let's try and work out how to reverse bleed this caliper. I guess draw some fluid into this, attach it to that, crack that off, try pushing the fluid in. Sounds easy in principle. Let's see how it goes. Okay, I'm expecting this to get messy. Let's see if we can get... No, wasn't intended to do that. Okay, we have brake fluid. Try and get most of it there out of that, shall we? We'll attach it to that. Okay, now if I operate the lever at the top, that's pushing the syringe up and down. So let's lock it off. Okay, so now I've disconnected the brake line from the master cylinder. I'm going to try reverse bleeding it up with the syringe and see if it comes out here, and it most certainly should, but nothing seems to be going the way I'm expecting it to at the moment, so God knows what I'm about to experience. So I've got a load of brake fluid, which we will just try not to get a load of air into the system. You can see it coming out the top of the brake line. So knock it off. And now try reattaching this as carefully as possible. Feels a bit better. Just lift this off. Make sure this is good stuff. Brake. Solid. Okay. Finally. Good. Okay. So it's 10 minutes after I had a working brake, and it's now hardly working again. So I've just been inspecting everything, and I seem to be getting some seepage through the bleed nipple, even though that is tight as tight can be. And if I try and tighten it up any more, I'm in danger of snapping it. So I think yet again I need you to stop, probably buy a replacement bleed nipple. Maybe the bottom of that just isn't sealing properly. Yeah, let me just stop and rethink that. Or should there even be a little tiny washer in here at the bottom that it seals against? Because there doesn't seem to be anything. Not sure. Okay, stop and rethink that. Okay, so I've taken out the bleed nipple and I've had a very careful look at it, and that all looks perfectly good to me, and it looks like a smooth surface. Is that going to focus? I'm not sure, but there's nothing wrong with that. Then I decided to take a close look inside the caliper, so I photographed it, and when I photographed it and I've zoomed in, you can clearly see damage, a line across the surface that this is trying to seal against. That's my problem. That's my problem. So I'm failing to close it up. So I need to somehow work out how I can actually resurface this, which is deep down inside the caliper, or what, I don't know. But that's why I am experiencing so much difficulty getting this thing to bleed. Damn. Okay, so after some very careful cleaning by hand, we've gone from that at the base of the bleed nipple to that. That looks much better to me. Let's try that now. Okay, now we got it. So I've cleaned up the base of the bleed nipple, and I think that was my problem most of the time, because I've done that, I've topped the oil back up, and I've now got a brake which that is perfect. Finally, combinations of just about everything. But I think that was my problem. Okay, I can get back onto preparing paint now, although it's now it's 9 o'clock at night. I said I was going to do something else. Okay, I'm going to call it an evening, and I'll get back on this in the morning. Right, well, it's now Sunday morning. I've come out to the garage. It's peeing with rain outside, so it's cold and damp. Got a hot drink, had a tidy up. Place is looking a bit more well, structured, if not tidy. Anyway, so I'm going to crack on. I'm going to start rubbing down these side panels, see if I can get them ready for top coat. So get on with it. Okay, so I've bought a selection of abrasive sheets or sandpaper, and I'm just checking the back here, and this is talking about 1200 being top coat prep, which is what I think I need to do now. So I'm going to use the 1200 and give the primer a very light sanding back, try and get it as smooth as I possibly can. Let's see how that goes. Okay, a couple of squares of 1200, some warm water, plain warm water, and let's just start. Back, or side to side. So. Let's just do this until that feels as smooth as I can possibly make it. It's already a noticeable difference. It might not need a lot at all. It's completely different to that already. I think less is probably more in this instance.
don't want to go through it or anything, so let's move on. Maybe not done this before, so I really don't know if it's quite what to expect. That changes dramatically and very quickly. That's good. Okay, let's just carry on. Okay, and there's the finish I've got, and that's just with wet undercoat, so that looks pretty good to me. However, on the corners it went through in seconds, so I think what I'm going to need to do is to reapply some extra primer there and then just be very, very, very careful. But for now, that panel I think is largely prepped. That's the second one. Interesting, it's much easier to fill with your fingertips. That just feels glassy smooth, whereas before you start it's quite a rough surface. So yeah, not difficult to do, actually a quick process. Need to learn to be more gentle, that's what I learned from that. Less pressure, less is more. So I need to sort this one out now, and then I can move forward. Okay, whilst I'm waiting for the side panels to dry and get ready, there's still more cleaning up I need to do around this filler cap on this tank, and there's some more on the edges. So let's just try and carefully do this. I'm not sure how I'm going to get into this. This seems to be pressed into the tank somehow. So yeah, not sure. But anyway, let's get in as much as I possibly can to get that prepped up. Okay, I'm much happier with that now. That's cleaned up reasonably well. This ring seems to be riveted into the tank. I'm not going to disturb that. I don't trust myself to get it back well. So I'm leaving that alone. I'm now going to concentrate around the edges of the tank and underside. Okay, that's the underside cleaned up. I'm not taking it all back to bare metal under here, but it's all good, it's all solid. Giving it all a good rub down. Give it a coat of primer, and so it will, at least when it's finished, it will be the same colour as the top, just not painted as well, but it will be consistent, it will be all covered. Right, let's do some etch primer. Okay, there's one coat of etch primer, and I think for an underside of a tank that'll do as prep. Okay, it's several hours later and that primer coat under the tank has cured off, well, cured, certainly perfectly dry. I've had a change of mind. I'm going to spray the underside of this black, but just a plain satin black, because the paint is expensive, and I figured that just a plain black underneath with the correct colour on top, I'm happy with that. So to that end, what I've also done is I've just prepped the underside of the panels with black as well, just a satin black. So just leave that alone now, let that all cure off, and keep moving forward towards the proper top coat. Okay, so that will be the underside of the tank, which is not going to win any awards, but it is rust free and it is black. So I'm just going to leave that now and probably not touch anything for at least another 24 hours on the tank. Let that proper harden off, then I'll turn it over and stand it on like a big plank of wood or something so I can work on the top. So that's that tank finished as far as I can go today.
Well, that's about all I can possibly do this week, because I need to wait for the paint to now dry before I can continue. So with that in mind, I just want to say thank you very much for your comments, your help, your support. It's been really appreciated recently. Hopefully I'm learning from some of your tips and your tricks. I'm so pleased the brakes are now working. So I'll see you next week. Until then, thanks very much and goodbye.